Well, the display says we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Everett with Ohio for Freedom, the program that is focused for the foreseeable future, talking about things in the church that shouldn't be in the church. I did not want to be coming on here today, but we're going to hopefully, Lord, please, hopefully, briefly look at just some crazy, ridiculous stuff. And because especially since Lynn Tyler Thompson has been so courageous, so brave, and so on it. If nothing else, I'm coming on here. And folks, I have one disclaimer to make. I've got a little bit of like a cold trying to interfere with my normal effervescence. And so I'm pretty tired. So that'll get this thing over with pretty quick. But thank you very, very, very much for tuning in. And I wanted to just mention, Annie, got to say your title is brilliant. Annie, thank you. You got to come up with a title when you do that. Listen, I want to play a clip and then we're going to talk about it. And thanks for tuning in once again. Here we go.
Let me start with one that really bugs me. Lynn Tyler Thompson. She's not taking a stand. She's a clickbait cockroach.
I'm the one person who has both the authority and responsibility to properly adjudicate this case.
Hello, I'm Steve Wilhite, Senior Vice President of Affiliate Relations at Daystar Television Network. I help negotiate contracts with satellite and cable systems all over the world.
In my role as a general officer in the U.S. military, I've negotiated with our nation's enemies, with foreign officials at the highest levels of adversarial governments.
I realize that most of our audience isn't caught up in the mismatch of social media.
This ministry has a mission to continue day and night prayer. We have a messaging platform to steward, and we have a local community to shepherd and equip.
She's not taking a stand. She's a clickbait cockroach.
I don't even have words for how low life that is by Steve. What's his name? Wilhite, calling somebody a cockroach. Well, thank you, Steve. You have absolutely proven what you guys are all about. You've shown what you really are. What was that old saying that, you know, if when you push somebody real hard, if what comes out is Jesus, then you know what was really in them. In this case, when you push these guys, you have this kind of just, brother, you're not in junior high and you're not in middle school. You're not in late elementary school. Why didn't you just come out and say, oh, she's got the cooties, you know, or she's a big meanie. I mean, it's on that kind of intellectual level. So folks, I don't know. And I want to be Pastor Ray, because I think if Pastor Ray sees this, video, he's going to say, hey, Ballcap. So I want to, but here's what I just want to do. In all seriousness, this is about a 5-minute video, and I just want to go through it. And I'm going to stop and start it a few times and just point out some very, very, very obvious holes and deflection and, yes, lies and just general sleaziness. Now, maybe I need to explain. I saw a couple of comments. Who's that other guy? Well, here's the thing. The other dude that you saw, folks, it was almost exactly this time last year when IHOP KC is trying to act like nothing to see here, folks. It's all good. We got this. Of course, there's real victims, but nothing to see here. It's all good. We've got this. And then they trotted that gentleman out in like the duck hunting vest or whatever it was. He didn't have a ball cap, so he wasn't quite up to Steve's level, but he marches out there and is completely tone deaf. And I'm important. And folks, I went through that video again that has General Fuller in it. And I did this last year, but I did it again just to double check. In 5 minutes, he uses the word I, me, or my more than 45 times, probably like 50 times. And I only juxtapose those two clips together so that you can see there's kind of a familiar thing going on. This video that's posted by Daystar, it's official. It's an official statement from an official executive that's official and on statement. He's statementizing. There's no comments. There's no comments. So it's a last ditch. They're trying to get somebody that they think has some credibility to lend that credibility to a situation that has no credibility. And Steve, I'm here to tell you, Doc, ball cap or no, it doesn't work. So maybe Joni's got you by the ball cap, but this isn't working. It's not going to work any more than it did when General Fuller tried to pull this. I'm in charge and I negotiate stuff and I'm important and I can say I, me, my 45 times in 5 minutes. It didn't work then. And I've already told this audience, Steve, I was just a young guy then, but I watched this happen when old Jerry Falwell thought he would swoop in on his private jet and reassure everybody and get everything on it, but it didn't work. And I'm just going to say this, folks, then we're going to get into this because I am a little bit under the weather. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm just going to say this. This is me. This is not the Holy Ghost talking. This is not Everett prophesying. Daystar is never going to be the same. I don't know if it'll survive or not. If it does survive, it's going to look way different than it did when it basically went down. Didn't necessarily have to be that way. And that's just, you say, how do you know that? Well, hey, 5 years from now, if you can show that I was wrong with that statement, I'll let you make it. So let's just play Mr. Willhite. Oh, and listen, twice in the program, if you would like to support the program, I'm pressing a link to our PayPal. And if everything helps, we appreciate it. Okay, here is Mr. Willhite from the beginning. Wants to start.
Hello, I'm Steve Wilhite, Senior Vice President of Affiliate Relations at Daystar Television Network. I help negotiate contracts with satellite and cable systems all over the world, where every day lives are being transformed as people come to know Christ as their Savior.
I'll just make the comment, Steve, I think you guys need to take this very seriously because you're going to proceed the next little bit to really trash talk and down talk to all the social media people, the mishmashers out there. But you negotiate all these contracts all over the world for airtime and so forth. Steve, you might want to take this pretty serious because you very likely are going to have a lot less of a bargaining position if you don't take this seriously. If you think this is just going to continue and you're just going to keep writing the contracts and upping the rates and doing, and you're playing all the cards or have all the cards, brother, I don't think so, but we'll keep going here.
I didn't realize I'd be sitting at this table today, but here I am.
I just want to point out how ridiculous and stupid that is. I didn't know I'd be sitting here at this table today, but I am. First of all, this is an official statement by Daystar. So he's not talking extemporaneously. He's not talking off the cuff. This is a scripted, prepared set of remarks, which means he didn't write them. And it wasn't just one person that wrote them. There were at least 2 or 3 people that had got together to write this 5 minutes of monologue that he had. And of course, that had to be approved by the editorial department or whatever. So why you would write in there, I didn't know that I'd be sitting here, but here I am, Shazam, they wrote me in. I don't know if that's an attempt to humanize this. I don't know, but it's just, it doesn't.
I wanted to take a moment to address some of the false information circulating on the internet. I realize that most of...
Now, guys, I stop and start a lot. He's going to take a moment to just address some of the false information that's circulating on the internet. Now, as we go through this, one thing that you'll see is he really doesn't take anything and address it head on. He avoids, he deflects, and several times he'll make the promise that we're going to address something, but he'll just do a she'll be gumming around the mountain when my story's over. When my deflection story is over, we'll come in and you'll have forgot what you were asking me. I mean, it's off the chart. Here we go.
Our audience isn't caught up in the mismatch of social media. Neither am I. But some of the things do need to be addressed. And for those of you who know...
Let me back this up a little bit, folks. This is what I do. If it bugs you...
Social media... Neither am I.
Wait, I want to back this up because he's going
to take a swipe. I wanted to take a moment to address some of the false information circulating on the internet. I realize that most of our audience isn't caught up in the mismatch of social media.
Now, first of all, he several times in this video, he'll try to talk like the real people, the audience, they don't get caught up in the mishmash of social media. Like people that are on social media are somehow, got the cooties there, Steve, or they're cockroaches or something like that. Brother, who are you trying to fool? You got Rachel Lamb out there that can't get enough social media underneath her belt. And you got Joni that we have all heard in boardroom conversations, and she's all concerned about comments that are made on social media. So, Doc, you're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody.
Neither am I. But some of the things do need to be addressed. And for those of you who know me, you know I don't sugarcoat things. I wish I could say something stronger, but let's just say I speak plainly.
Let's try to hold him to that. See if he doesn't sugarcoat things. Let's see if he sticks
I've
to
been
that.
with Daystar for almost 35 years. Some of the things being said just blow my mind because they're not true.
Now, notice some of the things that are being said blow his mind because they're not true. See if he actually addresses
For example, I was actually the direct report for Jonathan Lamb during his performance improvement plan. I've known Jonathan since he was a little boy. I mean, I have a picture of him in a red wagon with my daughter, and I've known him since he was like 4 years old, and he's 30.
Okay, there's two places for sure I wanted to do this, and this is one of them. He leads the audience to believe he's going to address something specific, but then he tells a story when you won't tell the truth. He goes off on this, she'll be coming around the mountain, and he doesn't address anything. Watch what he does.
Performance improvement plan. I've known Jonathan since.
Wait a second, here we go.
Said just blow my mind because they're not true. For example, I was actually the direct report for Jonathan Lamb during his performance improvement plan. I've known Jonathan since he was a little boy. I mean, I have a picture of him in a red wagon with my daughter, and I've known him since he was like 4 years old, and he's 39 now. So I've known him for a very long time.
You going to tell us what's true or not?
Leading up to Jonathan's termination, I can tell you that he was not putting any effort into keeping his job. He didn't manage the 3 departments he was over. He'd come in late, leave early, take 2 or 3 hour lunches, then go play golf at the end of the week. He wasn't full.
Do y'all see what he's doing? He's saying, I want to address some things that are not true. And then guess what he proceeds to do? Not address anything that he is saying is not true. He's, Jonathan, I knew when he was little and he had that little wagon. I think it was from Sears. Maybe it was Western Auto. And they used to have the little bearings around the wheels. He goes all into this long story, but so far, frankly, he hasn't addressed one substantive thing. I wonder who he learned it from. I wonder if that is something that flows from the top down.
Fulfilling his responsibilities. I reported his hours to HR every week, and I was astonished that while his mother was trying to salvage his role here, he wasn't even showing up. I talked to the departments he managed, and they told me he's checked out. So when I hear
Annie says this sounds exactly like Joni, and Annie, that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make, and I'm actually trying to. I don't feel the best tonight. Where? But in the board meeting. I've got the clip. I'm not going to grab it. In one of those board meetings, Jonathan he's asking Joni about the tracker. They all have it. Well, we've always had, you got Tom Callender. Well, I've used trackers all my life. Yeah. When FDR announced the New Deal after World War, I've got all them trackers and it's crazy. But Jonathan specifically asked his mother, when did you put him on? Well, my father used to get lost. He'd be at the gas station and eating donuts and petting the dog. And she goes off into this great big long story. And then another thing that you'll notice, they get off into a story and then you try to add as many people into the story and into the mix as possible. And by the time you come around from that big trip around the mountain, you're talking about nothing that has anything to do with anything.
Here talk about Jonathan running Daystar. That's one of the scariest things I can imagine for employees here.
In all of this, ladies and gentlemen, when has Jonathan ever said that he was trying to run Daystar now? I can tell you, I've listened to a lot of stuff, and the answer from everything that is never.
Now I want to address
So he's addressed something that doesn't even exist, but I'll keep
some of
going.
the
I'm interrupting too
lies
much.
that have been circulating online. The people on social media are not really our audience around here, but considering the level of misinformation and slander, I do want to address some of these issues specifically.
Okay, so now he's going to address lies. He's going to do, I'm telling you, he's going to do the same thing again. Now we're going to address some lies. Let's see if he brings up some specifics and sets the record straight, even though our audience, they're not on social media. Nobody's on social. By the way, Steve, the Dallas newspaper that's run 2 stories on this situation, that's not just social media, pal. That's a real newspaper. But once again, you have Rachel and you have Joni that are very concerned. And do you really expect us to believe that all your audience and all your employees out there, they don't know what YouTube is, they don't know what Facebook is, they don't know what Twitter is? Give us a break. You're gaslighting.
Let me start with one that really bugs me. Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson. In the past 2 weeks, she has made multiple false claims. But
I apologize that I'm interrupting it so much, but I want to point out that he says, in the past 2 weeks, she has made multiple false claims. I'm a little tired, so I got to say this while I'm able. You're going to find out as we go through. He never says what any of those false claims are, and he never addresses them. See if I'm right.
why would she be doing this? Well, first of all, she's been misleading people to believe that she took some sort of strong moral stand of coming off of Daystar's international network, when that is not true. She was part of our local network in Canada for 26 days. Just 26 days. What the public...
I don't remember Laura Lynn saying how many stations or affiliates or whatever program that she was on. I don't remember that. Mr. Ballcap, I'm not
doesn't know is that Laura Lynn admitted to knowing about Jonathan and Susie's plan to go public with the smear campaign and appears to have coordinated her own publicity stunt announcing...
Now this I have to comment on, okay? Laura Lynn has said that she knew that there was something, I believe, something in the works with their story coming out. But listen what he says: with their smear campaign, you are misrepresenting. You're just assuming that all these mishmash, dumb social media people won't catch what you're doing. Steve, we caught what you're doing. Pal, you said you've been there 35 years. It might be time to look at your severance package, get your affairs in order, and just go ahead and smile and bow out while you have a little bit of integrity. Because of your experience, you can get a few consulting gigs, fly around a couple times a month, supplement your income. You're going to be okay. But as far as credibility goes, Ballcap, Steve, you ain't got none. My opinion.
That she was coming off Daystar to position herself as a voice of integrity and capitalize on controversy. But then we dug a little deeper, and at the time of her departure, Laura Lynn was aggressively losing subscribers.
Oh, she's aggressively losing subscribers. Oh, no. There's the Dallas Morning News story, by the way. She's aggressively. There's Rachel Lamb's really thoughtful and Christ-like social media posts. But I wanted to show you this. They have this on the screen for a very short amount of time. And what's interesting is, and y'all, my view of this is a little bit different of yours. I went and grabbed the video shot and then blew it up so I could see it. This hemorrhaging, frankly, I think that was the right way to say it. Here's something that you notice. From September of 2024, this is the graphic that they are using to October of 2024. It is showing a decline from 62,990 down to 62,900. Oh my gosh, she's hemorrhaging 90 subscribers. 90. I mean, they hit their own graphic that they're using and putting up there for about a half a second is showing a loss of subscribers to the tune of 90. You can't make this stuff up. 90 subscribers. So they had to carefully, brother, we aren't buying you, man.
It came to light last week that in October, her YouTube channel had 5,000.
What's he talking about? It came to light last week. What are they talking about? You had an emergency crisis meeting or something like that? What's he even saying? It came to light last week.
Total views and earned nothing, $0. But after she started using Daystar and Joanie Lamb's name, her YouTube jumped to 2.7 million views in the past 4 weeks and made an estimated $13,400.
I'm gonna touch on that. If you go back and look at Daystar's YouTube channel, it ain't very impressive. I don't know if it's made anything or not. And the other thing is this, Stevie, Ballcap. I don't know if YouTube was the emphasis that Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson was that concerned about. You guys weren't that concerned about your YouTube channel, or you'd have done something about it. And here's something else that you wouldn't know anything about, Mr. Willhite. Some of us that were patriot content creators going back to 2020 and COVID and the election and all that, you know what we were used to? We were used to reaching some people only to be censored and have to find another platform. I remember Ann Vandersteel one time talking about how it was like whack-a-mole, and you'd get part of your view and you'd have to open up to all these different places, and Rumble became a big deal. Maybe some of you, what was the one that came along and it was really doing good? It was Red. It's going to escape me. And then Apple shut the servers down. So your whole thing is nobody that's in content creation puts all their hopes and dreams and the eggs of their hopes and dreams basket in any one platform, because we know that for completely arbitrary and capricious reasons, it can be disappeared in a heartbeat. I hope that made sense, but I know it makes sense to
She's not taking a stand. She's a clickbait cockroach. Every time you click on her video, she profits.
Now, they are estimating that Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson made, what did he say, $13,000 in about a month's period or whatever. I just want to say this. I don't know if his estimates are right or not. First of all, Steve, what are you making? What do you make in a month, pal? What do you make in a month, Doc? What do you make? What do you personally make to put in your pocket doing what you do? You cannot tell this audience that you're not making at least a couple $100,000 a year. So 13 grand in a month, that doesn't even reach what you're putting in your family's pocket. And I know it, and you know it, and the American people know it. And now I want to say this. When I received the email in the morning, the day that I appeared on Laura Lynn's program, I answered it about 9 o'clock, and I didn't even know if it was real. I didn't know if I was being punked, but I responded, I'll consider this confirmed, and I'll be prepping. And by about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I still wasn't sure. I didn't know if somebody was punking me. I called the 800 number and I said, this is embarrassing. I think I've received an invitation, but it might be some kind of a prank or something. Here's my point. There was a lady on the other end of that phone that took the phone call. That's her job. She works for that ministry, for that organization. And then I heard from a producer that that's what he does. He works for that ministry, that organization. And then I received a phone call from Laura Lynn. And guess what she does? She works for that ministry, that organization. And her on-air person, Tech JT, is Mr. Thompson, JT. So that's at least 4 different people in this organization. And you know what? 13 grand in a month, don't really go that far, Steve, but you bankroll a whole lot more of that for your personal family. And I got news for you. She made more. If your 13,000 is what you say, she made more because me and a whole bunch of other people were so appreciative that we chipped in. And guess what else? We're chipping in again because with the Canadian thing, you give a certain amount and then you're looking at your bank and go, wait a second, that's only about 70% of what I just gave. So it's just all the more impetus, Steve, to keep on contributing. So I just want to call that out is, folks, I might have spent some more time on that one I need to, but good grief. That's your argument, Mr. Willhite. Go negotiate a contract with somebody that's stupid, because we're not.
This isn't about morality for her. It appears that she's chosen to amplify this controversy as an opportunity to revitalize her struggling YouTube channel. The truth is, she's using Jonathan and Susie, and they don't even know it.
This is so sickening, and she's using Jonathan and Susie, and they don't even know it. Because see, poor little Jonathan is so foolish. Mentally, he's still back there on the red wagon having the debate with himself. Is the red wagon from Sears or Western Auto? Where'd it come from? He's still just a little child, and without submitting and to Jimmy Evans and coming under the tutelage of Tom Keller and so forth, they just have no idea what's going on. You condescending Ballcap, we're not buying that, brother. And Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, who has given them the opportunity, Jonathan and Susie, to tell their story. Oh, yeah, she's using them. Brother, we don't buy this. Go get a job. Go get a job. Go get a real job with something that's real. Folks, I don't feel well, so I'm not as friendly and cheerful as usual.
She never knew Marcus, but I did.
I listen to this line. She
doesn't know Joni. I do.
Who wrote that line? She never knew Marcus, but I did. She never knew Joni, but I do. It's like, what was that Lord Benson from Texas that said, I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy. He's trying to make himself sound important because I knew Marcus Lamb. And I know Joanie Lamb. I'll let it keep going.
I worked with Marcus Lamb for decades, and there was no more integrous man I've ever met.
Brother, you are being, I hate to do this, but I'm going to do this. And he's shaking his finger in the camera. I knew Marcus Lamb, worked with him for decades, and there was no more integrous man that I ever met. I know that Jonathan Lamb wants to remember his father in the best possible light, and I understand that. But are you really asking us, Steve Ballcap, are you really asking us to believe that a 7-year affair hidden from the world, hidden from his wife, hidden from the fellow employees, that is the most integrous person that you've ever met? Is that your testimony, Steve? Is that really what you're testifying to? And I'm just at a loss for words. Let's just let it go. Just let it go.
All the allegations about him covering up sin are false.
Oh, well, that's really intellectual. He worked on that all day. Everything they say is a lie. Okay, Shazam. Controversy over. All the falsehood, all the allegations are false. Did the affair happen or not? Was it covered up or not? And how convenient. And I don't know if I've heard anybody talk about this. Who is it? The Kendalls. Red Wig is the Lady Kendall, and I don't know the other Kendall's first name. But right there, it seems so orchestrated on Dr. Phil when they let it come out in what looks to be a very carefully scripted way, and we kept it private because when you keep it private, that lets you work on it. Well, wait a minute, Doc. I thought Daystar was a church. The IRS calls it a church, and you defend it as a church. So you're saying that when a pastor has a 7-year affair and it's found out that the best thing to do is cover it up, keep it secret, keep it quiet, so that you can counsel on the side and keep the congregation in the dark and keep the offerings up. But that's the most integrous man that I ever met. And when he bought that jet with what looks like the exact amount of COVID money, he had the integrosity to have the backup cash in case Inside Edition found out, and he was able to write the check and tell them that that was the plan all along. I don't think so. I don't think so.
He was a man after God's heart and had a vision to reach the world with the good news of Christ. Was he perfect? No, none of us are. I'm not. When he went to be with the Lord, he left clear instructions for Joanie Lamb to lead Daystar. I've been working closely with her for the last 3 years, and I can tell you she's doing an amazing job. Laura Lynn doesn't know Joanie Lamb, but
She's doing an amazing job. Okay. So, amazing job with lingerie parties, an amazing job with using we were wrong, COVID paid for private jet to fly the 9 or 10 trips to hook up with Doug. That's the amazing job that you're talking about, the $100,000 honeymoon. That's the amazing job that you're talking about. Brother, have you looked at your receipts lately? Have you looked at your revenue? And you're going to call that an amazing job? Just take a look. Just take a look. Gaslight all you want, but just take a look. I do.
And I can vouch for her character and her integrity. So for those of you tuning in to Laura Lynn's channel, she's not here to tell the truth. She's here to stir up drama and make money. These allegations are nothing more than a smear campaign against Daystar and its leadership. Falsehoods for personal gain cannot overshadow the work of those committed to spreading the gospel.
Folks, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'll just ask you, has he addressed any real supposed falsehoods? Has he addressed the tracker? Help me. I'm tired. Has he addressed the trackers? Has he addressed the surveillance? Has he addressed the private jet use? Has he addressed the SA? Has he addressed the failure to report to the authorities, which was addressed, by the way, in the second article in the Dallas Morning News? All the host of things. Has he addressed Doug Wise 1,000%? Has he addressed any of those things that Laura Lynn has brought out in podcast after podcast after podcast? Has he addressed any of those things? I would say the answer is no. I would say he said that he was going to address some lies, and then he went into she'll be coming around the mountain, and in the process, he's trashing Jonathan, and then he does another she'll be coming around the mountain and does a long time addressing or trashing Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson. But Steve, you hadn't addressed any real issues. Is that the way that you negotiate, Doc? When somebody wants to talk rate, somebody wants to talk term, and you say, I remember when I had a wagon. I was 9 years old. I love that wagon. I used to pull it with my bicycle, whatever. Folks, I think we may be finished. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm at 33 minutes. That is really good.
Let's
for me.
Stand against misinformation. Call out those who profit from
I'm sorry. Oh my God. Let's stand against misinformation. You know what he sounds? He sounds like one of those commercials where they get all these B-rated celebrities and let's stand against misinformation. You know what it sounds like also? It sounds like stand against misinformation. The more you know. The more you know. I don't know if y'all remember that one. They still make them, believe it or not. Let's play the last little bit. He's going to give an impassioned plea to stand against misinformation.
Those committed to spreading the gospel. Let's stand against misinformation. Call out those who profit from deceit and support the truth. This is Steve Wilhite. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
Thank you, Ballcap. We appreciate it. Y'all, I hope that helped you. Listen, I'll tell you, I'm going to encourage you to do what I've been doing for about a month. And that is, I keep checking for Laura Lynn to see what is the latest thing that she posted. And she has been doing a phenomenal job. And yes, Pastor Ray's on my list, and Julie Royce is on my list. And so, folks, I'm going to jump off here. I will tell you that we have a lot of stuff in the works, and we got a couple of pretty big things that'll be coming down the pike. I don't know if we'll talk to you tomorrow or not. So if I don't, Happy New Year. I think it's okay to say we love you and appreciate you. If you would like to support the program, I am going to post the link one more time, because we're clickbait cockroaches. My goodness. But y'all, if we don't talk before, we'll talk to you next year. So until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the state of Ohio. And God bless the United States of America, where the church is in the process of getting cleaned up. Good night, y'all.